Hi, Reverend Seth here, and I'm excited to continue our series this morning on training to be godly, and our message is titled Train to Hear. And it's the story of Samuel and how Samuel trained up so that he could hear the voice of God. He was just a little boy when he began to serve Eli, the high priest of the temple, and he didn't know who God was. And one night he's going to bed and he hears a voice call out to him and says, "Samuel, Samuel." He goes running to his master Eli and he says, "What is it, master? What can I do for you?" And Eli was grumpily woken up from his bed and he said, "Go back to sleep. It wasn't me calling you." It happened 2 more times, and on the 3rd time, Eli realized that it was God who was speaking directly to Samuel. So he said, "Go back, and when the voice calls out to you again, say, 'Speak, for your servant is listening.'" That's exactly what Samuel did. He went back to bed, and when God called out, "Samuel, Samuel," he said, "Speak, for your servant is listening." And that began Samuel's relationship with God, and it began a period of time where Samuel would often hear from God, and the entire nation of Israel was blessed by that, and he became known as someone who hears from God. So what are some things that we can take from this story to train to be godly? Well, point number 1, find the best to train you. We understand that if we're playing sports, if we're playing an instrument or something, we want a good teacher. If we don't have a good teacher, we're not going to become good at what we're trying to train for. But if we get a good teacher, the best teacher possible, wow, that really opens some doors for us, and we can become the best we can be too. That's what we have to do when it comes to training to be godly. We need to surround ourselves with the best teachers, people that can sow into us. Maybe it's your mom. Maybe it's a teacher at school. Maybe it's Pastor Lee. Maybe it's me. I don't know. But pick the best to train you. Brings me to point number 2. Train to know God's voice. Samuel didn't know who was calling him. It says in verse 7 that he didn't have a relationship with God. But Eli did, and Eli said, "Speak, for your servant is listening." So that's when Samuel got there, bam, he was able to begin that relationship with God. Get to the point where you know God's voice. God's voice. You want to be able to separate it out from all the other voices that are trying to sow into your life. You want to get to a point where you know Him so intimately that you can hear that still small whisper. In John chapter 10, verse 4, 5, and 6, Jesus is speaking, and Jesus says, "I'm the shepherd, and my sheep hear my voice, and they follow me, and as strangers they will not follow." We want to make sure that we can tell which voice is God's, so that we follow that. We do what God says, and we don't follow the strangers. That's how we train up to be godly. We need to train to hear and know His voice. And then point number 3, be eager to listen. You know what? In this day and age, we're so eager to talk. We want everyone to hear our voice, everyone to hear our opinions, everyone to just know who we are. We're encouraged to do that, especially with social media. But with God, we need to learn how to be eager to listen. We need to hear what He has to say. He knows us better than we know ourselves. So if we stop and we listen, as Samuel did in this point, we'll hear what God has for our future. We'll hear the plans that He has for our life. We'll hear how He wants to help us solve the problems that we're experiencing in our life. You know, it's okay to say to God, "Hey, this is what I'm experiencing. This is what I'm going through." But then make sure that you listen. Can you imagine if Samuel had said, "Whoa, hey God, nice to meet you. You know what? Now that I've met you, let me tell you some things. Hey, Eli, he's kind of a hard master. He puts me to work, makes me do all kinds of crazy things. And his sons, oh my heavens, his sons, they're ruining the temple." Imagine if Samuel had done that. He would never have heard what God had to reveal to him. And the same thing is true with us. If we just talk to God and we just put our prayer requests before Him and we tell Him how we're feeling, that's good, but it's not as good as if we then stop and we listen. He's our author and our maker, and He wants to have that intimate relationship with us. But it goes two ways. We need to listen to what He has. Again, He knows us better than we know ourselves. So He knows what we need in our lives. And the only way we can figure that out is as if we listen to Him. Hey Jay, I hope that, as you study this message, you meditate on what I've said here today, that you'll see how you can train to be godly, and you'll begin to put that into place into your life, and just watch what happens. Again, our memory verse for this series is 1 Timothy 4:8, which says, physical training is good, but training for godliness is so much better because it reaps rewards in this life and the next. I don't know about you, but I want those rewards, not only in heaven, not only in the next life, but in this one too. And the way we do that is by training up to be godly. And I hope there were some nuggets in this message that really encouraged you, that really helped you see how you can go to the next level in your relationship with God. All right, Jai, be blessed. Stay tuned this week for more tips, more spiritual truths taken right from the Bible that can help you get a leg up. All right, you guys, love you.